back to sleep, Julie.
I know about the other times. I pretended to be asleep, but I know about them. You've dreamed it before. Whatever it is, haven't you?
What makes you think it's just a dream? It's the only thing I live for.
You did this? You? Or you? And what kind of a mother are you to let this happen?
Morning. Well, I'm all set for the day. Go ahead and ask me.
Did you consult a book, or did you just talk directly to the camel?
A book. I thought it might be better to sneak up on him. What happened to him?
Yeah, somebody stepped on his foot, only nobody wants to confess. Did your book tell you how to wrangle wild camels?
No, not exactly. It was more on the order of Camelus dromedarius, Camelus bactrius, although I did find out one thing. According to geologic findings, the camel originated in North America. How about that for one of your quiz programs? One group migrated to Asia, another bunch cut out for South America. The ones that stayed in North America became extinct, probably during the glacial period.
Fascinating.
The book I read also said camels fight. I think so do ants.
I hire a helper, I get a philosopher. Let me tell you this, philosopher. True, there is little difference in principle between a camel biting and an ant biting, but there's considerable difference in the size of the bite. The secret of breaking camels is to get bitten only by ants.
For $43 a day, they can chase me all over the field. I've got a buddy in the hospital, Mr. Hale.
So we better make sure you don't join him. The real secret of wrangling camels is to have a strong rope, a strong stake, and an even stronger back.
Does it help any to talk to them like with horses?
You know any Arabic?
Well, where is the American consulate? How far to the hotel? How far to the post office?
I think something a little richer is demanded. Something with a little more color. Yalla! Yalla! Amshi Akbar! Watama Lahena!
morning, Mr. Browner. How long do they live? Peter says that elephants get to be 70. Why does Peter keep that animal here? I don't understand. How can you bear to look at him? How can you bear to feed him? When I wake in the morning and I look into Peter's eyes, I see his eyes in the dark, in our room, at night, before I go to sleep. I can feel his presence with me. I can feel his presence every minute of the day. So homegrown, like somebody's strawberry preserves at the state fair. See the names on those posters. Copenhagen. What's Copenhagen like, Peter?
Copenhagen, Canoga Park. People are the same.
Except Lisa, Julie.
Mr. Hale! Well, how's she looking, Mr. Hale?
Nicely, coming along nicely.
We're making up the photo murals, covering this whole wall here, with some of the best shots of your wife ever taken in action.
This is my wife, Mr. Wasson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Hale, but, well, you know what I meant. I had an idea today, Mr. Hale. See how it sounds. I'd like to inset some of the color shots at regular intervals. Make them up in a special pattern, in the shape of a lion or a tiger, one of the big cats, whatever. Backlight them so that they stand out. You like it?
Yes. Yes, I like that very much. Now, I'll tell you what I think we better do. We better start right at the beginning of her career and move them left to right.
Well, I've read a lot about her, Mr. Hale, but that's something I'd rather you pick up. And the sooner the better if you still want this room ready for the big summer opening.
It's got to be ready.
Oh, well, only 8 days more. That doesn't give us much time to finish, especially with all the other work that has to be done around the place.
All right, I've got an appointment in town. When I come back this afternoon, I'll take the photographs.
Good deal. All right, fellas, you can start work on the frames right now.
Julie? Julie?
Garcia, come on!
How do you say lunch in Arabic? Well, you just have to learn to speak my language. Take 30. I have a hungry troop of camels outside, just dying to take a bite out of somebody. Any suggestions?
If you want to hit your head against a wall, isn't it a good idea to find a wall first?
Well, the smart money wears crash helmets.
Me and my shadow. Thanks. I haven't seen you before.
Oh, they say it can be a sobering experience.
You work here?
Since this morning.
I'm Mrs. Hale.
I noticed the ring.
7 carats.
Neat, but not gaudy.
It was hers. All of a sudden, I know how an insect feels. How helpless when it's caught by a cruel child. A blank face, bigger than the sky, smiling down at you from somewhere beyond your own tiny world. Smiling down and taking its time, letting its icy fingers pull off your legs and your wings.
Bruce, come. Bruce, come. Come on. Bruce.
Hey, Pete.
That's a good boy. Bruce,
Pete, what are you doing in
Bruce.
California? How did you know I was here?
He can sing, too.
Oh,
Bruce,
did
come
you
on.
hear a few things? Read a piece in the paper?
Say, I could get you a lot of work on the circuit. You're the world's greatest disappearing act. You know, one minute you see him, the next
Bruce,
2
come on.
years you don't.
Bruce.
But you look great, just great.
My country 'tis of thee, and a little rock and roll, too.
Call me next week, eh?
You know, next week runs through Monday to Friday. Maybe we can zero it in a little?
How about next Tuesday, Bruce, huh?
Is that all right? Okay, thank you. Come on, Bootsy. Hi. Come on. Boots. That's a good boy.
How about a tall one for me, mostly water?
Yeah. Has it been 2 years?
Come on, Pete, give.
Hell is empty, Phil. All the devils are here in this world.
Well, if you can tell me where I can get half a dozen of them, they should make a great act if you can stand the smell of sulfur.
I heard you were going to be in town a couple of weeks. I need a favor.
Pete, you need a favor? You know, all you ever had to do was name it, so now name it. But first, you're gonna sit right down. You're gonna start from the top, and you're gonna bring me right up to date, and then we're gonna go on this town.
I remarried.
Hey, good for you.
How about you?
Say, put a little more whiskey now, will you? Oh, I don't know. Someday, when I find the right girl.
Is there such a thing, Phil? For you, I mean?
Now, listen, Pete, I remember a certain party in London. You drank a lot and you talked a lot, and I'll tell you what you said. You said the image of the inherited enemy is already sleeping in the nervous system. A chick just out of its egg will dart for cover if a hawk flies over. Not a pigeon and not a duck, a hawk. You remember? Well, here's to wives, the inherited enemy.
Some night next week, any night you say, I'll send a car in for you. This is the favor I ask. That you be guest of honor.
For what?
What night, Phil?
Oh, Thursday?
Thursday.
Now will you give?
I bought a zoo last month. Kind of a jungle park. We're modernizing it, putting in a lot of special attractions. Getting it ready for the public, you know.
Great.
There's one room I'm turning into a memorial for Lisa. I was hoping you'd be here to dedicate it. Special services. Well, nothing elaborate, but what's a dedication without a guest of honor? Thursday's fine. We'll be ready.
Pete, I know how you felt about Lisa. It's something nobody could ever forget. I mean the way it happened. Maybe this sounds kind of selfish, as close as I was to you, but I've never stopped being glad I didn't see it. When I flew back for the funeral...
The house, 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7's just fine.
Not back yet? Well, maybe you can okay this copy for the panels, Mrs. Hale. They got to be hand-printed, and if I don't get Charlie started on them right away, we'll never get them back in time. Now, this little piece here, that'll go on the east wall.
Well, my husband wrote all this out for you. Why is it necessary to recheck it?
Oh, well, he dictated it over the phone to my secretary, and you don't know my secretary. I'd appreciate it if you'd just look it over, Mrs. Hale. I don't want any trouble with your husband.
I met a lady in the meadow, full beautiful, a fairish child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. My husband wrote this?
Mm-hmm. He wants it on a special plaque, like a cornerstone, he said.
Keats wrote it. And it's Meads, not Meadow. I met a lady in the Meads. All right if I use the phone?
How would you spell Meads?
M-E-A-D-S.
Person to Buzz Murdoch, please. Pacoima Hospital. Like a B with 1 Z. Todd Stiles.
No. No, I won't approve them.
Hi, I'll call you back. I got a boy, 14 years old. Says he wants to come in with me when he grows up. Be a contractor, like the old man. Well, sir, I'll put him in a cement mixer first. If you ask me, I think she's jealous. Well, can't blame her. Morning, night, and noon, all you hear people talk about around here is the great Lisa Hale and how to build up the legend. Wring the last dollar out of her memory, if you really want to know.
Why don't you shut up?
Yes, sir. Right in the cement mixer.
I'm sorry. I hate to be so emotional. You must think I'm either crying all the time or screaming at people. Actually, I'm very happy. How's everything in Camelland?
This morning, I saw the way he held a baby goat that was hurt. He's a man of fields. And just a minute ago, I read all that stuff in the folder about how she was killed. Try and put yourself in his place. The arena in New York, just outside the ring, separated from her by the bars. Watching the tiger, crouched, ready to spring on her from behind, not being able to stop it, not being able to help. Think how he must feel. So if the statue or the memorial hall makes him feel any better, then let him have his statue and his memorial hall.
Nobody can feel that guilty.
Julie, is there a limit to guilt or any other feeling?
Nobody can feel that guilty unless they have reason.
Styles, not lands.
He's ready, Peter. Are you sure? I couldn't have stayed with him another 10 seconds to come out alive. Peter, he's ready.
Who's your friend?
Number 12.
That's not bad for the first week. I'm sorry I yelled at you.
Oh? I didn't notice.
You noticed. Why don't you let some of it out? You've been watching me all week. Must have a lot of questions. Go ahead, ask.
There's an old Bedouin proverb, Mr. Hale. The viper that doesn't bite me, may he live 1,000 years.
Why do I keep that particular tiger? Isn't that what you're wondering? Haven't you and Julie been discussing it? Why haven't I killed him, right?
Okay, when she told me that was the animal that killed your wife, yeah, I wondered.
Well, maybe you've wondered why Browner hasn't killed it either.
Why would he want to kill it?
Lisa was his daughter.
I better get moving.
You know, when I was younger, I lived in Africa. I used to hunt. One day I stopped. I stopped because I couldn't miss anymore. 10 bullets, 10 kills. It had become a surgical thing. The rifle swinging up, the same sound of gunfire. The cough, like the passing cough of a sleeping man. And in the near distance, a living thing who had no knowledge of me staggered. And if he had brothers or offspring or a mate, they might interrupt their feeding long enough to bolt away as he fell. But soon enough, in the sun, in a long silence, unafraid, it returned to graze quietly alongside the body. And the tragedy had no meaning, either for them or for me. Unless a man gives meaning to tragedy, there's nothing. Now let me keep you. Ready, Lisa. I'm sorry it took so long. You love me enough to trust me. Now let me have those, Julie. Julie! Well, where do we go from here?
I've asked you so many times. What do you see there? At the window when you stand there. And you say, go back to sleep, Julie. That's all you ever say to me. I remember you told me that you refused that insurance check. Blood money, you called it. But finally, you did take it, didn't you? And you bought this place. And you married me. I remember everything you told me about her, how she'd done the same act dozens of times all over the world and nothing had ever gone wrong. And how she would let the tiger get behind her. And how the audience would hold its breath. And the drums rolled. And then how the tiger pounced on her. And then how the crowd screamed as she fell down and she and the tiger rolled over and over in the sawdust. And then how she suddenly would be back up on her feet. And the tiger would be stretched out on its back, with its paws folded like a kitten, lying there, conquered. And then she would place one foot on its chest and raise one arm in triumph. And the crowd cheered, and the drums pounded. Remember something else you told me about a lion you had to shoot in Africa because he killed 12 people. An old lion, you said, who'd never had killed a human being before, and you found a thorn in its front paw. That's why he'd gone mad. A thorn, Peter, or a hat pin. It could be the same, couldn't it? I know why you killed her. Because of those men. The men on the list. What can I do now?
What do you want to do?
What can I do now?
First Pete, then you, Brownie. This sure has been a week for surprises. Okay, be mysterious. Pete'll tell me the story after a few drinks. Give him enough, he starts sounding like Alfred Tennyson or Lord Byron. Ah, come on, Brownie. Why hold out on me? I worried about both of you. I'm still worried. It just isn't curiosity. You both act like it was just last night. You gotta live, Brownie. You gotta forget. Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, you'd have to look far and wide to find a more deserving guest of honor than Philip Togger, possibly the greatest of all agents. Lisa's father and I have selected him from among all others to be here with us tonight as we dedicate this memorial hall to Lisa Hale. Phil?
Those of you who knew Lisa know how hypnotic she was, not only with the big cats, but with everyone she met. With a look, she could conquer you. And those of you who never had the experience, the pleasure of knowing her, can meet her now here in this memorial hall. And I am very proud that my very dear friend Peter asked me here tonight.
A little closer, Mr. Togger. Mr. Hale? Now hold it. Thank you.
Month, he'll probably forget this place is here. Except maybe to stop by once a week and make sure the floor is swept and the glass in front of the picture panels is wiped off.
Don't leave.
The party's just started. I'm not going anywhere. I was going to have a drink.
No, I mean, don't leave tonight. At least not until Philip Togger does. Please, there's no one else I can ask if I have to.
Ask what?
Just promise me.
Julie, what is it?
You don't have to stay. If you want to leave, you can leave. Forget what I said.
Well,
Hi. Most attractive, Peter.
To you, Mrs. Hale.
tonight we drink to the old.
To the old.
Phil, you haven't even seen the place yet. Come on, I want to show you around. Well, wait a minute, Excuse me. Take along a little something to light the way. You know, Lisa'd like it here. Those oaks up on the crest would remind her of home, the trees of her childhood. You know the Ardennes, Phil?
Oh, it's one place I miss.
Well, as a child, Lisa would always rise exactly a half hour before sunrise in the morning. Can you imagine that? I suppose you could say that farm life starts early in the Ardennes, but to her, well, she always told me she felt that the sun was her sun, that it was born inside her, and that if she overslept, the day would be late. So she'd rise and run down the path from her father's house and stand on a hill to make the morning come. A hill just like that one. And as the light started, she'd watch the trees being born out of the darkness. She'd watch the countryside reach for life against a new sky. And she felt that it was her life. You see, Phil, she didn't just see things. She was the things she saw. She didn't hear sounds. She was those sounds. You understand what I'm telling you, Phil?
I'm trying to, Pete. I'm trying to.
I suppose that's why she was so magnificent with animals. When she was with tigers, she was a tiger. All of her cats believed she was one of them.
You know, either these drinks are terribly strong. I'm losing my capacity. You feel them?
How about Australia, Phil? Is that another place you missed?
Yeah, I miss Australia. I miss Australia, too.
When murder is done in Australia, at least among some of the more primitive tribes, they bury the corpse and then they smooth the earth around the grave. And the first ant that runs over it shows them the direction in which to look for the murderer. Here, take the glasses and the bottle. Wash them thoroughly, then smash them into powder and scatter the powder.
Can you carry him by yourself?
When you carry a cross, the last few steps are the easiest.
My name is Phil. Everybody calls me Phil.
Oh, I want you to be conscious. I want every nerve in your body to be alive. I want you to know the pain.
Oh, I tell you, Pete, that stuff's murder. I don't want any more thanks. No more
Put him
thanks.
inside.
No more Pete thanks.
You asked where we'd been the last 2 years, Lisa's father and I. We've been out wading through filth, Phil. Yours and all the low tides of 7 other men. There were 8 of you. At least I thought there were. But it turned out there was only you. I don't know what you're talking about. In New York, Lisa came to me. She told me there was another man. She said she loved him. She was the world, Lisa was. But I loved her enough. Trusted her enough.
To know that if she had found another man, he had to be better than I was. Better for her. So, I told her, all right. Go to him, Lisa, marry him. I won't stop you. Well, that was the morning of the day she died. She was gone all afternoon, and that night, just before she went into the ring, I found her crying. She didn't say much, just enough so that I understood. This man had rejected her. Oh, not as a woman, but as a wife. He didn't want anything permanently, Phil. Not even a thing of beauty. A thing as rare as Lisa.
Pete, you gotta understand how it was. I never encouraged her. It was just one of those things. Now, who knew it'd get serious? Now, look, how do you think I felt all this time? Don't you think I've sat up nights and hated myself?
Don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you, Phil? She killed herself deliberately. She committed suicide. Just before she went into the ring, she jabbed this pin into the forepaw of the tiger. She knew he'd kill her the minute she turned her back. I ran in, I tried to save her, but I couldn't. And then I saw the pin. Nobody ever knew. Only Lisa's father and I.
Pete. Oh, Pete. Come back, Pete! Pete, don't go! Don't leave it here, Pete! Pete, don't leave it here, Pete! Pete! Pete, let me out of here, brother! Pete, come back, get me out of here! Brother, let me out of here! Pete! Pete, don't do this to me! Pete, where are you? Come back here! Brother, let me out of here, brother! Let me out of here, brother! Pete! Pete, don't do this to me! Pete, where are you? Come back here! Brother, let me out of here! Pete! Pete!
Don't do it! Don't do it, Peter! Don't do it! No! Peter, don't! It's my fault because I didn't make you love me so much that you could forget how much you hated. It's my fault that I failed you.
Get back, Stiles. Don't take another step.
Don't let him out. We might just as well get into the cage with that man because we'll be just as dead as he is.
Stiles, go let the man out. You know what we always said, Brownie? Hell is empty, all the devils are here. We've kept this one too long. Let's let go of him now.
This has been a Screen Gems film presentation from Columbia Pictures. Herbert B. Leonard, executive producer.